Welcome to Hollywood Extreme, your ultimate destination for all things Hollywood. From blockbuster movie reviews to the latest news, behind-the-scenes scoops, and in-depth features on your favorite stars, we bring you closer to the world of cinema like never before. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more cinematic journeys just like this. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Magazine Hill, they call this place. Dead end.
Why would Labuschagne or the men in the minibus have come up here?
He claims he can't remember any of it. So Leon Bucky was parked here. He left the keys in the ignition, then he ran that way. The minibus taxi belonging to the football team came to rest here. He point blank range. The gun they found was registered in Leon's name. He dragged the bodies over there, then he lined them up.
Wait, he lined the bodies up? Why would he do that?
None of it makes any sense. You can see the prison from over here, where he worked.
Who's the judge?
It's on sale. The hanging judge. The two of you should get on like chalk and cheese.
Do you think the state should kill people?
Majority support the death penalty.
Majority supported burning at the stake, witch dunking, crucifixion.
Sit!
Leon, this is John Webber. He's a senior advocate. He's been asked to defend you.
I've been asked to, but I don't particularly want to.
Then, why don't you go home?
Because your case is so bad, no one else will take it.
I already told you. I don't want you to defend me. I don't want to talk. I don't want to see you either.
Well, we've fulfilled our obligations. Let's go.
Hang on. I've had enough of this cuck. I've spent a shitload of time working on this case. Listen to me, Leon. You might be feeling sorry for yourself now, but you're going to feel a hell of a lot worse when you get a death sentence. I met your wife, your little daughter, Esme. When did you last see her? 6 months ago.
I read in your file that you were a warder in the prison service. I suggest you find out what's in store for you. Speak to the warders when you go back to your cell. Ask them what happens on death row.
I know what happens on death row. I worked there.
When this happened, you were working on death row at maximum security prison. Surely you were too young.
Started working there over 2 years ago.
On gallows duty.
Leave me alone.
Nobody gets away with killing 7 people. Unless they're the police, of course.
Bad break, my boy. There's no defense for an attack like that.
No. The guy's as good as dead.
Good serve, Andrew. Paul, stand further back. You get a better chance to get to the ball.
Look at it this way, John. Everyone gets a bad case now and then. You just got a hopeless one.
With soldiers who return from combat, a minority suffer mental breakdown after one traumatic experience. But only a very small minority avoid breakdown after prolonged exposure, which is what this would have been. In fact, he reminds me of veterans I've treated. I'd say he's in a similar state of emotional collapse.
So what you're saying, as far as the prosecution is concerned, is that your tests don't prove mental breakdown, but they also don't rule out the possibility that he could be a racist or a psychopath.
My opinion, something triggered a violent response.
Any idea what that trigger might be?
Afraid not.
So it follows, Dr. Slebush, that there might actually not be a trigger.
That's correct.
The trial of Leon Labuskachny, the man who shot dead 7 members of a Mamelodi football club, starts in the Pretoria High Court this week. Human rights advocate John Webber, who's defending Labuskachny, is well known internationally as an opponent of capital punishment. According to police sources, Labuskachny's motives for the shooting are unclear, and any links to right-wing organizations is pure speculation. To date, Labuskachny has refused to make a statement.
We won't have many chances, Leon. Once you're in the witness box, we'll be prohibited from speaking to you until you finish giving evidence. So you've got to help us now, man. Just give us a reason for why things happened the way they did. There you have it. He's been briefed on how to respond to the judge and the prosecutor and how to answer our questions. I don't know what else I can do.
Stand up.
Hold it. Labuskachny, look at this. Mr. Weirder obtained this register from the Prisons Department. It lists the names of all the men hanged last year. You must have participated in some of these executions.
All of them.
Repeat that.
I was at all the executions.
According to this list, 164 men were executed last year. A record number.
If that's what it says.
Why were you present at every execution? Pierre.
Hi, John. How's it?
Good.
Could you let me sit this side, if you don't mind?
Yeah, sure.
Thanks.
Well, how's my sister?
Oh, surprised to hear you're in town. So, what's this business you want to discuss?
Pierre, what do you know about the men who work on death row?
Not much.
Well, I happen to know that they take part in executions, but what I don't know is what kind of person does that. What makes someone take on the job of killing someone? And what does
Now, John, I can't talk about that. You should know that by now.
I don't mean you. This is a boy they put on gallows duty at 17, for God's sake.
Oh. And you get another shot at the evil system you hate so much, eh?
Pierre, they threw this boy into hell, and he went out and shot 7 men. Now he won't or can't speak a word to defend himself. You have contacts inside the prison system. They'll talk to you.
All right, I'll make some inquiries, but you're wasting your time. Because the guys who do what he does, they don't talk about it. They never do.
You should tell him to keep his head up.
It's the victims' families. They're staring at him. It's his parents, his sister Antoinette.
At about 1800, on a deserted road near the Magazine Hill Quarry, the accused forced the minibus in which the deceased were traveling from the road, then shot all 7 victims with a pistol. Detective, is this pistol, which is registered in the name of the accused, the firearm that was used to fire the bullets found at the scene?
This is the pistol, my lord.
That's all I have for this witness, my lord.
Mr. Weber?
No questions, my lord.
What are you doing?
I'll explain later.
The bucky found parked next to the body, that too is registered in the name of the accused.
Yes,
According to your report, the vehicle would not start.
correct. He was forced to flee on foot.
That's all, my lord.
No questions, my lord.
Why didn't you cross-examine anyone?
We can't argue facts. If we admit everything, we deny them the opportunity for a parade of emotional witnesses and rob the case of its impact. After a couple of days, they'll have nothing left. They found him, they found the gun, they found the bucky. That's all they've got.
That's all. What have we got? Leon is nearly comatose. Dr. Slebush will barely speak to him.
If it goes that way tomorrow, gentlemen, we'll soon be finished on our side. Good night.
Night. And you're going to say a senior advocate who hasn't handled a murder case in 15 years?
I don't know what you said to him last time, but he was grouchy when he came home.
More than usual?
I'm the one who has to live with him, John. Here, take that.
Well, it seems to me he's guilty. Murder. And you're trying to turn it into a political case.
I think every case involving the death sentence is a political case.
It could have just been road rage. You ever think of that?
He shot 7 people 13 times.
A very bad case of road rage.
The only thing I've accomplished so far is to keep our strategy a secret, but that ends when the defense starts.
Well, See if this is of any use.
What is it?
It's a table of drops. How much you weigh?
About 70 kilos.
All right, so you divide 840 foot-pounds by the weight of the prisoner, in this case 70, which means that you, John Webber, would need 5 feet 3 inches of rope for a nice clean break. He was very good at it, apparently. They relied on him, calculating the drops.
And how do you know this?
You don't want to ask.
What else, Pierre?
What struck me is that these warders, they get to know the men that they have to hang. They're their caretakers then, they haul them out, string them up.
And this struck you why?
In a war, you don't see the enemy as people. You're shooting at uniforms, not men. The only thing worse than killing a stranger is killing someone you know. Strangers are hard enough.
You want to go through all of these?
Yes, the 32 men who were hanged in the last 2 weeks. Leon was there.
And what are we looking for exactly?
It might be useful to find out something about the men he hanged in the days before the shooting. He developed a very close relationship with these men.
How would you know that?
My brother-in-law has contacts in the prison system.
He's a warder.
Intelligence, special forces. He spent 3 years fighting in Angola.
What's that got to do with anything, John?
Well, for one thing, it means he knows firsthand what killing does to a person.
I'm sorry. Are we assembling evidence to support your political preconception about capital punishment? Or are we trying to discover the extenuating circumstances that might save Leon from a death sentence?
Something must have happened to Labuschagne toward the end. These men all had reasons for killing. He must have had a reason. We need to find out what it is.
So we're down to wild hunches then?
Look, I understand that defense based on complete mental breakdown doesn't succeed very often. But it's all we've got at this stage. Unless you have a better idea. Do you have a better idea?
No.
As it pleases my lord, my lord's learned assessors.
Yes, yes, carry on.
This is an extraordinary case in which the evidence for the prosecution is undisputed, and the case for the prosecution is, in a way, also the case for the defense. On a murder charge, the prosecution has to prove that the act was both unlawful and intentional. We intend to prove that there was no act to which the law attaches legal consequences.
Are you suggesting there was no act when we have 7 bodies?
My lord is entitled to be skeptical. The prosecution has been at pains to explain what has happened. We intend to explain why these events happened and whether the accused can be held criminally responsible.
Well, you'd better explain very carefully what the defense is, as I'm at a loss to understand. How can you say there was no act? when you've admitted that the accused killed the 7 deceased?
With respect, my lord, the events at the quarry are not in dispute. But the brutality, the scale of the event, 7 fit young men killed by a single individual, calls for closer scrutiny. The prosecution has adduced no evidence of a motive, and there appears to be none. We intend to look at the accused's working conditions on death row inside maximum security prison and the events that took place there prior to the incident at the quarry in order to find the reason for his actions. Actions we believe were unconscious and triggered by his traumatic experiences as a warder.
So, the defense is asserting that the accused's working conditions triggered these actions, that they were involuntary and therefore not punishable by law.
Correct, my lord.
Well, this raises matters of state security, Mr. Weber. If I allow this, I don't want any names used. Not of officials or inmates. Not one.
Listen, Labaskachny. When you're on the stand, you'll talk, you'll do as you're told, or you'll soon find yourself back on your gallows with a noose around your own neck. Mr. Labaskachny, please tell the court how old you were when you first joined the prison service.
17.
And why did you join?
If you join the police or prison, you did not go to the army.
Why did you wish to avoid the military?
They sent you to Angola to fight.
Were you aware that the warders at maximum security prison performed gallows duties?
No.
So you had no idea what your duties would be when you first arrived at maximum?
No.
Could you tell the court about your first day there?
I was briefed on the importance of secrecy. I was told not to speak to anyone about anything to do with the work we were doing inside the prisons. And if I did, I'd be disciplined.
My lord, is this detail necessary? We are here to shed light on what occurred on Magazine Hill, not to make public the internal functions of a government institution whose activities may be confidential, perhaps even secret.
My lord, the time the accused spent working on death row is central to the defence's case regarding his state of mind that day on Magazine Hill. We intend to lead detailed testimony about the accused's state of mind, in particular his circumstances at work.
I'll allow it, Mr. Weber, provisionally.
Continue, please. What did you experience on your first day at maximum, Mr. Labaskachny?
I was to accompany the warrant officer to see 7 men on the rope.
On the rope?
It's what we say for any prisoner under the death sentence.
Kom, staan so.
These 7 were going up the next day to the gallows.
Okay, dat beweeg. Kom.
Will you please tell the court what happened when you went to see these men?
The warrant officer said I'd have to pick one, as I'd have to escort one of the men to be hanged the next day.
So you were told you were going to help hang one of these men the very next day?
Sir, I'd rather you picked one for me, sir.
The new boy must pick one. That's how it works. Huh? Magandla? Pick Magandla. What's his name? What's his name?
Magandla.
Did the warrant officer tell you what you were to do the next day as an escort of the hanging?
Just said to learn by following and watching the others.
That was your first day?
Yes.
Tell the court what happened on your second day.
Executions are at 7 a.m. We came for them at 6.
Kruimers er recht weer. Allemaal. Van weg.
Sam.
Van weg. Van weg. Draai om meer toe. Strap, strap. Schoenen uit, geen sokkies. Kom aan, trek het uit. Hey, staan stil. Roer je recht, man. Kom, beweeg. Kom.
Were there any problems? Were there any problems, Mr. Labuskakny?
No.
Everyone just does what they're told, do they?
They're taught to obey.
What happens if they don't obey?
Kom.
Hi. Hi. Hi.
Kom nou.
Kom on.
Zoek my bliksem. Dan gaan we gooi. Wat zo? Gooi hem op. Hou hem op hier. up! Stand up here!
Do you have anything to say before the order of the court is carried out? Do you have anything to say before the order of the court is carried out? Do you have anything to say before the order of the court is carried out? Do you have anything to say before the order of the court is carried out? Do you have anything to say before the order of the court is carried out? Do you have anything to say before the order of the court is carried out?
Stand up.
I didn't want to look at the road. I could smell it. It was like wet doormat. The sound was in my ears, like water. I could feel my arms shaking, but I didn't know if it was from me or from the prisoner.
Tell us in your own words what you observed. Mr. Labuskakny, the court is waiting. Tell us what you remember from that day.
The noise.
What did you see?
Don't hold on so tight next time, or he'll pull you down with him. Then you'll look like a puss, won't you?
Did the warrant officer say anything to you after this?
I was told not to talk about the hanging, any hanging, to anyone.
Did he say anything else?
That I would be doing this job 2 or 3 times every 2 weeks.
2 or 3 times every 2 weeks. Did he offer any advice or counseling?
No.
Did he provide any training for the work you were to do?
No.
Had you been assessed or screened in any way to ensure you were suitable for this job?
No.
Did the warrant officer give you a choice whether you were willing to do this work or not?
No.
Remind the court as to how many days you'd been working at Maximum when you were called upon to hang these men.
1.
And you were how old?
I said I was 17.
Still 17.
Mr. Webber.
Would now be a convenient time to adjourn, my lord?
The court adjourns.
Mr. Webber? Sorry. You asked if I believed Leon when he said he had no memory of the shooting. Memory is an intellectual function. When you're completely swamped by emotion, the intellect can shut down. So memory shuts down too.
They're upset. They don't like seeing him put through the ringer.
They'll like it even less if he ends up on death row.
You'll have to force Leon to recollect things that are painful. Break him down. Make him cry even. Then he'll talk.
Yeah, that's a problem. We have no idea what he'll talk about. We're plunging down a dark tunnel with no idea what's on the other side.
What's on the other side may be the reason why it happened.
And if that reason is racial or political, how's it going to help him beat the rope?
How can we defend that man, Mr. Webber?
Ma'am, I despise killing of any kind, lawful or unlawful.
What about my son, Thabo Mokoena? Why should he get away with it?
She is right, sir. That man must pay for what he's done.
Look at this one. Eben Christian Kutsia. Same age as Leon. Had a daughter from a good home, mild-mannered by all accounts. Participated in the rape of a black woman after pressure from the others involved, all of whom were older. Then he snaps, goes on a rampage, and takes the lead in killing the victim. Why?
I wouldn't know.
Was he trying to prove something to the others? Is that the reason?
You won't ever know. He's dead. They hanged him.
Yes. And Leon was his escort. He specifically requested that Leon be his escort. Why?
I'm going home, John.
We still have the case histories to go through.
No. We're off on some tangent here. These profiles, they're not going to tell us anything about Leon or why he did what he did. That woman, the one who lost her son, Mrs. Mokoena, she's right. You sit there wringing your hands over the death penalty, studying the case files of the men who were hanged. But no one ever remembers the victims. Like this guy. Him and his accomplice stabbed their victim numerous times. No one remembers that poor man running for his life. Or this guy, this bastard, who burnt his victim to death in the boot of her car. No one remembers that poor woman suffering. Or any of these women in any of these cases who were raped and strangled and beaten, had their heads bashed in, stabbed, drowned in their own blood in the arms of a son. No one remembers their suffering. They organizes a protest or delivers a paper at an international conference. The reason is that these men are animals. And when there's a gang involved, reason goes out the window altogether. The only thing you can do with them is to get rid of them for good.
Piedri, there's something here. The relationships that Leon formed with the men he hanged have to have had an impact on him.
I need to go, John. Good night.
Who's that?
That's who I think it is. We're in for a rough ride. Please, could you inform the court as to how many men were executed in your final year at maximum? Please consult the execution register, which has been submitted as evidence.
$164.
164 hangings in a single year, which was a record, I believe.
Yes.
You were present when these men were admitted, and you were also present when they were executed?
Yes.
At all the executions that year?
Yes.
So you would have come to know these people during their stay, or should I say your stay at maximum?
Yes.
How well did you get to know these men?
You spent all day with them.
So would you say that in some cases you developed relationships with some of these men? Let's pick a prisoner at random. If you look down the list. Yeben Christian Kutsia, for example.
We object, my lord. Once again, my learned friend is straying into matters which are deliberately kept confidential out of respect for the families of the executed prisoners.
Yes, Mr. Webber. I've asked you to keep the names out of this.
My lord, we have to use a name in this instance, as the prisoner before he was hanged may have developed a relationship with the accused. Further, my lord, the evidence supplied and the names thereon are a matter of public record, not confidential at all.
I've given the defense a lot of leeway in this case. Far more than I ever imagined I would in a case like this. I expect the same solicitude from the defense in future.
Mr. Labuskachny, how well did you know the prisoner, Yeben Christian Kutsia?
I read the Bible to him, to any prisoner who requested it.
Yeben was 19 years old, correct?
Yes.
Yeben had a wife and daughter, and I believe you have a daughter, don't you? Esme. You met his wife and daughter?
They came to say goodbye to him. I walked them back to the car park, through the prison garden. And they thanked me for looking after him.
You believed that Yeben should have been reprieved?
The other man was reprieved, so why shouldn't he have been reprieved?
Did you tell him?
I would have been dismissed.
By the warrant officer? Over here.
Order.
Yes.
So you felt Yeben should have been reprieved, but instead you were his escort and you helped hang him?
Yes.
What were your duties as Yeben's escort?
I measured his weight, height, neck.
What was the purpose of all these measurements?
To calculate the length of the drop.
The length of rope required in order to assure he died instantly. You were responsible for that.
Yes.
If you calculated Ibn's drop incorrectly, he might not have died instantly. He might have suffered.
Yes.
Quite a lot of responsibility, isn't it? How long can it take for a man to die from strangulation, hanging there with his neck broken, but enough oxygen to allow conscious brain activity?
If you left him hanging there without hauling him back up again, it could take as long as 15 minutes.
Rather like torture, isn't it?
Mr. Webb, I'm warning you. This is not the time nor the place for a debate on the death penalty.
As my lord pleases. Mr. Labuschagne, please tell the court how you felt personally measuring Ibn's neck when you'd gotten to know him so well and felt he should not be hanged.
I didn't feel anything.
What about when you were on the gallows next to Ibn and the trapdoor opened? What went through your mind then?
I don't know what you mean.
What thoughts did you experience?
None.
When you met Ibn and his little girl, you were having problems at home, weren't you? Your drinking and fighting had resulted in a separation from your wife Magda and your own little girl Esme. Mr. Labuschagne.
Nothing. I felt nothing. I thought nothing. I was just tired.
Are you telling us you felt nothing inside after this man died?
I was just tired.
You had no thoughts, no feelings, no emotions.
Mr. Labuschagne, are you all right?
I'm not feeling well.
My lord, I'd like to press on.
Are you feeling faint?
I might be sick.
My lord, I'd like to approach my client.
Mr. Webber, if the accused needs medical attention, the court will adjourn.
My lord, I'm near the end of this line of questioning.
You are at the end, Mr. Webber. Court is adjourned.
How could you be so cruel? It is your job to protect him, not to hurt him.
My job is to defend him, Miss Labuschagne. That's all I'm trying to do.
You don't need to abuse him to defend him.
I'm sorry, I'm doing my best.
You don't care if he hangs, do you?
Los my.
I'll talk to her.
Hello, Pierre. How's it?
Well, you didn't choose this place for the decor or the clientele.
I saw you on the TV the other night, leaving the court. Being seen with you has become a liability.
So we're reduced to secret, shabby assignations now.
I can't get you what you want. My source on the inside is clammed up. They're taking things more cautiously.
Surely there's something on a warrant officer that's a matter of public record. I just need to know what I'm looking for.
Look, I cannot get a file on the warrant officer or the other warders. Half these oaks don't even tell their wives where they're working.
Well, we've got to find something or they'll hang him within 6 months.
They'll hang him sooner than that.
A warder who went through the same ordeal, someone who liked him. There must be somebody who's on his side.
And how the hell do you think we got what we already have? Now you listen to me, because this is the last of it, do you understand? And I'm not seeing you again until all of this shit is over. It was a prison revolt, a riot, whatever you want to call it. On death row. His last day.
And?
And they hanged him anyway. And that's all I got for you.
Wait. You know what it feels like, killing. I don't. I need to know what he remembers when he tries to block out. I can't get through to him unless I know what's going on inside his head. What did it do to you?
Stupid dress.
Yeah.
Mr. Weber?
Mr. Labuschagne, consult the register for your last 3 days at maximum, please. Tell the court what happened on the 8th of December.
We hanged 7 men.
And on the 9th?
Another 7.
And on your last day, the 10th?
7 more.
7 more. 21 men in 3 days, which I understand was another record number of executions for that amount of days.
Yeah.
Did anything unusual occur during the executions on your last day? Mr. Labuschagne, tell the court what happened on your last day at maximum, the 10th of December.
Scholar!
Did the prisoners who were going up that day become difficult in some way? Mr. Labuschagne, you told the court about your first hanging. Now tell the court about what you experienced at your last one.
The warrant officer thought they'd been broken.
Hou je bek.
But they weren't.
Draai jou uit.
Help me zo!
Hey, kom, help hier. Kom hier. Kom jullie, grijp op. Grijp op. Help daar.
Pak hem vast, man! Draai hem op! Krijg daar, man in! Breng hem net daar niet zo, man! Vat hem grond toe!
Maak zeker hij zijn!
Pas uit!
It took another half-dozen men to get them out.
Hör dig, Josefsson! Kom ihop, Ivan! Gå, tryck ner dem!